Which side of my face is the black face paint or the Youthforia foundation? T, you can't tell. You know why? Tar in a bottle. This is jet black face paint, and this is the darkest shade of the Youthforia Date Night foundation. This is black face paint. This is the darkest shade of the Youthforia foundation. A few months ago, I tried the darkest shade of the Youthforia foundation. This is what it looked like on me. I'm gonna apply some of the foundation on this side of my face so you guys can see. Let's just go ahead and try to blend this out, you guys. Enough. Who is that color? I'm gonna wipe this off. Let me put the paint all over my face. I'm literally just going in with the face paint. We're gonna do some painting, and let me just go ahead and blend it out with the brush. This is the darkest shade of the Youthforia foundation. This is black face paint. Sometimes it's okay to say, hey, maybe my brand is not made for complexion.
You know, I totally agree with her right here. Not everything is for everybody. Your brand does not have to be inclusive.
When we say that we want you guys to make shades for us, we don't mean to go to the lab and ask for minstrel show black. What we mean is to take the browns that you have made, create undertones, and do what you need to do in the lab so it's a darker shade of brown. This is the darkest shade, shade 600. And as you guys can see in the bottle, literally jet black. The shade right next to it, shade 590. This is what it looks like in the bottle. Here is shade 600. You guys, there could be like 10 more shades in between these two shades. In addition to that, when we go to the actual website and we look at the swatch, not only is the swatch online literally jet black, there's literally only 4 or 5 shades for people that actually have dark complexions. Not really for black people, for being honest. Not only in 2024 is this so disgusting and disrespectful, but this needs to be pulled off the shelves.
So to me, this Youthforia situation is feeling like the perfect example of right product, wrong CEO. As somebody who is an ex-customer of the brand, when I first saw the brand, I was so excited about them. Makeup you can sleep in, good for your skin, and this at least looks really, really nice on my lips. But the mistake after mistake that this brand has made with the black community is appalling. It's a part to me that was really aggravating about this foundation specifically. Video to promote this foundation was her going around a mall to different people and her going around to different models and finding that no one matched the shade. She could not find the right model because this shade was so much darker than every other shade in the stores. Girl, all of the signs were right in front of your nose and you could not figure out why this shade wasn't matching anyone. This is a CEO that is consistently not paying attention to, number one, what her customers are looking for, and number two, the signs that are right in front of her. And this is why this brand is no longer performing as well as it used to be. I generally think that the only way that this brand can recover is to change the CEO. Am I wrong?
Okay, let's put it all on the table. Number one, like, there's probably people in the world who do have this as a shade range. Are they a very small minority? Yes. And is it these guys? Do these guys have this as their shade color? I don't believe it for a second. But what irritates me the most is this is their shade range, and they still have shit like Find Your Shade on their website. But this is generally just not a diverse shade range. Like, you could put the claim like, yes, small business, da-da-da-da, but like that doesn't excuse having like 10 like light shade ranges and then having like 5 dark shade ranges. Like, because you understand that people of lighter tones have different undertones, but for some reason people with darker tones only have like 5 different undertones. Like, I don't know. Like, I think they're not even the worst brand who shows this, but when I feel like brands have a fundamental misunderstanding of dark skin and understand the fact that like dark skin can have different undertones, they can be more reddish, they can be more bluish, they can be more neutral, I just don't trust them. Like, you shouldn't be making makeup if you have a fundamental misunderstanding of dark skin. And there probably are people who are like, okay, I found my color from that brand, but it's just kind of like, don't sit here and put that Find Your Shade stuff like y'all are Fenty Beauty when you have 25 shades and 10 of them are the same color, just different hues. Like, what? Like, if you're truly about diversity in your foundation ranges, be about it. Don't half-ass it. It's just my...
A cosmetic chemist confirmed that the only present pigment in the Youthforia foundation is just CI77499, which is just black. As someone who's East Asian, I'm so disappointed and ashamed that the CEO of Youthforia, who also happens to be East Asian, is pulling some buffoonery like this. And to think this wasn't the first time too. The initial release of this foundation line already received criticism for their lack of shades for deeper complexions. Then they decided to release the shade of black, which is literally just jet black. It makes me think, did they even test this on an actual person? They really said, here you go, the darkest shade to ever exist in the actual color theory, so people stop complaining. It just seemed passive-aggressive to the criticism that they received. It makes you think that they do listen to their consumers, but only to make them shut up, you know, not to really address their concerns. I'll always rally behind beauty brand owners who look like me, who represent me, but when they pull shit like this, thank you, next. I'm done. I'll never know the struggles of having limited options for foundation shades to pick from, but from one POC to another, I can feel what forced diversity and PR-driven moves feel like, and this didn't even try. Youthforia, please do better. Sheshe.
Y'all remember when Youthforia got into it last year? They came out with a new shade, just passed it, and I'm like, let's try it and see what it looks like. This is now their darkest shade, 600. One right before this is 570. That jump is kind of crazy, but let's swatch it and see. Oh, it's literally black. And then we're gonna test the shade right below it. 600 and 570. I guess she said, here y'all go. I'm sorry, I just look really cute today.
I know everyone is mad at Youthforia, but I gotta say, I see the humor here. Not only did they make a huge jump between their second darkest shade and their darkest shade, but they made their darkest shade with like no semblance of a human undertone. They were literally like, oh, you want a darker shade? Well, here, damn, you happy? And it's such an unforced error because so many non-Black people do not care about the shade range. Be like, oh my God, yeah, this brand has an awful shade range. Anyway, as long as they made a halfway decent product, non-Black people were going to buy it. Like, there's no racial beauty solidarity. Like, that's not a thing, right? But they couldn't help themselves. They had to be a little petty. And since they want to be petty, every single time you Google Youthforia, now you're going to get articles about how they went and tried to bottle blackface. And blackface is one of the few things that non-Black people as a collective tend to recognize as racism. Like systemic racism over a lot of people's heads. Microaggressions doesn't faze them. Blackface, they know about blackface. All this to end up in a worse position than when you started. I have to laugh.
Y'all know I already said it once and I'm gonna say it again. We don't care, we're tired. Of course they don't have a shade for your skin because they don't care about you. You have Black makeup and skincare brands begging for y'all's support. We don't care no more.
I don't know about you, but I will not be entertaining any discourse about that brand that put blackface in a bottle from anybody who can pass a paper bag test. Catch it. Like I said in plenty of comment sections, they basically said, here, damn. Like, you're always crying. That's what I got from that. And if you didn't, maybe it's time to unpack why. Because the response is not, well, aren't there any other shades from that brand that you can try? No. Because this is one of the most egregious examples of malicious compliance I've ever seen. Because what do you mean you give us minstrelsy in a bottle? If we're going to be anything, let's be fucking serious. In 2024, we should not have to beg, hunt, or settle for a shade that's not ours when everyone else is catered to. We've already been excluded. The least you can do is save the gaslighting. Thanks.
Shade of Youthforia foundation. Look how dark that is. Cool, neutral.
What did I tell y'all? What did I tell y'all? They do not care, okay? They straight up do not care, and this shows exactly why they did not care, right? Right, okay. Thank you so much to Woomy. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, but this information is scalding tea, okay? It's scalding, it's piping hot. Apparently, Youthforia needed to test their shade 600 and didn't have someone around in the vicinity anywhere that they could test the shade 600 because it was too dark and they couldn't find anyone, right? So apparently they went to the Dubai Mall and found Alvin and Jackson, and they found them and they were like, oh my God, you're so perfect. You are definitely shade 600, which is like black. Shade 600 looked like this.
The darkest shade of Youthforia foundation. Look how dark that is. Cool, neutral. Alvin has great skin. I am half the face of Youthforia foundation. You can see the before and after. Pro Youthforia. Like,
that is not his shade.
They swatched only these two shades because that's what they had on these people. I went, oh my God. It's such a perfect shade match. Oh my God, gassing it up. Oh my God. They looked ashy. Okay, they look like Sahara Desert. You cannot see anything. Okay, it is great. I've had enough.
In this clip, it's actually showing you the CEO of Youthforia trying to find models for the darkest shade, which was impossible because nobody has skin like that. And, that should have been the first clue, you'd think, for them to get this thing right. But like I said, it's not every brand that has to be inclusive. Like, if you can't get it right, just leave it alone and focus on what you are good at. Right?
This is going down for me for sure as the biggest inclusivity stain on our community in 2024. Youthforia is a masterclass of what not to do when trying to be inclusive. Our good friend Blair sent us Gloria's video last night right before we went to bed. And our first thought was, this can't be happening again. It's a shade range that's unfortunately missed the mark on inclusivity. This is really disappointing. And then I woke up this morning and I saw Javon's video.
This foundation literally only has pure black pigment.
My deepest, darkest fear came to life. I am a beauty product developer and I've been in those rooms where you're formulating the darkest shade. Done this many times at the mass market level, at the prestige level, facilities where the people that are working on darker tones at the request of the brands that they're working with have never actually seen a human of color. Put that color onto human skin. Some of these people have only ever had the opportunity to work on dark, plastic swatches. I've worked at companies that are international global companies that have flown out humans of color to avoid this exact type of situation. I really don't think they matched it to a human tone during the development process. They would have seen the lack of nuance that is required to bring a complexion shade to life. Product development is centered around intention. You need representation inside those labs to make sure that you can develop the shade ranges that you need if you're not going to bring in outside support. I saw that foundation compared side by side to black pigment. I said, I think that the team at Youthforia wanted to bring the darkest foundation shade to market, as dark as possible to avoid exactly what's happening right now. But they took that extreme too far. You need to be thorough, need to be using real human skin. It is a better way to do this. It really is unacceptable to launch a foundation that doesn't have any acknowledgement of tonality on skin.
It's safe to say she missed the mark on this launch.
She definitely missed the mark on this launch. And I think that we all have a responsibility to continue to shape this narrative and continue to shift this narrative.
Is it going down in the history books?